After 26 grueling days, the sun finally set on Survivor 48 with a finale that delivered everything fans have come to love about the series. Raw emotion, strategic blindsides, personal growth, and one triumphant final fire. Set against the rugged backdrop of the Philippines, this season's final episode was a roller coaster of resilience, as the remaining 5 castaways, Jasmine, Luke, Renee, Marco, and Danny, battled to outwit, outplay, and outlast. The finale opened with tensions simmering at camp following Marco's dramatic blindside of Tommy in the penultimate tribal council. Trust had been shattered, alliances reconfigured, and everyone knew that immunity would determine who controlled the game's final moves. At the first immunity challenge, a grueling endurance test involving balance and focus, Jasmine outlasted her competition, securing her spot in the final 4. It was a moment of redemption for Jasmine, who had been underestimated as a social player early on but had proven to be a fierce competitor when it counted most. Tears streamed down her face as Jeff Probst placed the necklace around her neck. This was her first individual win, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Back at camp, Marco lobbied hard to sway Renee and Danny to vote out Luke, arguing that his strategic savvy and leakability made him a jury threat. But Luke, ever the cunning storyteller, reminded his tribe mates of Marco's betrayal and disloyalty. The vote came down to a knife's edge, and in a stunning blindside, Marco was sent packing with an ironic smile and a handshake for Jeff. His torch snuffed, the final 4 were set. The next morning, the remaining castaways reflected on their journeys. Renee, the motherly figure and spiritual heart of the season, shared an emotional story about overcoming self-doubt. Danny, the youngest player left, spoke about growing into her voice after being dismissed early on as just a fan. Luke, the charismatic schemer, admitted that his game had been built on deception, but claimed it was always in service of getting to the end. And Jasmine, now emerging as the frontrunner, embraced her transformation from background player to bold tactician. The final immunity challenge was a classic Survivor test of endurance, memory, and pain tolerance. In a nail-biting finish, Danny eked out a victory over Jasmine, shaking uncontrollably as she collapsed in relief. With the power to determine the final 3, Danny chose to take Renee to the end, leaving Jasmine and Luke to battle in fire. The fire-making challenge was intense, symbolic, and utterly gut-wrenching. Jasmine, who had practiced relentlessly in secret since day 1, quickly sparked a flame and maintained a calm, focused demeanor. Luke, uncharacteristically shaken, struggled to catch a spark. When Jasmine's flame roared high and severed the rope, she wept uncontrollably, knowing she had earned her seat in the final 3. At the final tribal council, the jury grilled the finalists with sharp questions and emotional honesty. Jasmine leaned into her underdog story and her adaptability. Renee highlighted her role as a stabilizer and bridge builder. Danny delivered perhaps the most poised performance, explaining her strategic growth and bold endgame move to take out Marco and win final immunity. The vote felt too close to call, but in the end, Survivor rewarded boldness and evolution. Danny was crowned the sole survivor, earning 5 of the 8 jury votes. The youngest player in the game had defied the odds, proving that age doesn't define ability, and that growth, courage, and timing are what make a true champion. As the credits rolled and the reunion, now filmed right at Tribal, kicked off, Jeff Probst called Survivor 48 one of the most emotionally complex seasons in the show's history. It had its villains, its heroes, and most importantly, its moments of humanity, from Jasmine's fire-making redemption to Renee's quiet wisdom and Danny's transformative arc. This was a season defined not just by gameplay, but by personal journeys. Tears were shed, triumphs were earned, and Survivor 48 proved once again why, even after all these years, the game still has the power to surprise, inspire, and move us.